The Living Voice is a podcast exploring what shapes our voice and how our voice shapes the world. I'm your host, Yilei Lau. I'm joined by guests from diverse backgrounds as we explore voice as more than communication. We'll look at how our voice is shaped by our physical well-being, our inherited stories, the cultures and environments we move within, and the ways each of us are uniquely wired. Together, we inquire into what becomes possible when we meet our voice with kindness, awareness, and curiosity. Welcome. So I have constellations, somatic psychotherapy, and astrology are three of the areas that we are going to be discussing, at least, with my next guest here, Meghan Kelly. I'm super excited. She's zooming in from Belgium, I believe. I'm going to ask her to introduce herself for those that are new to you. Can you tell us about a little bit about yourself before we delve into these juicy topics?
Well, first of all, thank you for this invitation. I'm eager to talk about this as well, as the voice is something personal to me and very relevant to the work I do. So, hello everyone. My name's Megan. I'm from the US originally, but I'm calling in from Brussels, Belgium. And yes, I work here as a somatic psychotherapist with constellation work and combining astrology with this as well. And, astrology is a map of the field that we work with in constellations. But as constellations is really a simulation of life, astrology is a map of our life, what we come in with, meaning what are the attributes that we work with in our day to day, what kind of patterns could that present? And it also presents a direction and some guidance of how to go forward.
Oh,
And you can look up any subject as we're talking about the voice in particular, but it's just such a masterful tool. And it's really in a renaissance as well, coming back and being useful in all domains. So excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Ely.
oh, you're so welcome. I'm looking forward to this because I it's like three of my favorite topics. And I met Megan online through I think it was Constellations workshop, and then I realized that she also did astrology as well, but combining the both. And I was like, what? I was so blown away, and I was like, that's super exciting. Um,
It's
and
been
then
great to
when
have you at events. Yes.
it's just so fascinating. I pretend I've retained the information. I'm more of a listener and a fan of astrology than I know to how to regurgitate some of the things. So I also had a reading with Megan as well, and I'm just like, oh, I'm really intrigued because of this. Looking at what shapes our voice, and I really like that you described what astrology was. Let's go this way, the astrology part, how that like a map, like you said, that possibly can be our starting point, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the destination, and things can, change over our lives. So I'm really intrigued because you also mentioned you're journeying with your voice. Where do we
Mm.
start? Um, can you talk, I guess, in general, maybe with the astrology, how that can shape our voice or
Mhm.
does shape our voice?
Yes, absolutely. Now, um, as you said, I'm more of a retainer of information. Be- Astrology is one of the most complex subjects out there, and I didn't know that when I started. But that is something I like about it because there's something to learn all the time. And so it's a system that's intertwined and linked in many ways. So what I'll share here, there's clearly going to be something more because there always is with this
Yeah.
subject. But the key, we know that astrology is inclusive of the planets. And what does that mean? The planets are personal. There are personal planets and transpersonal planets. And the personal planets they correspond to something personal in all of us. And it would be Mercury that is about our voice, because Mercury is from where we communicate. So it's our voice for talking and communicating like we're doing now. And it's your voice for if you are using it for singing or for healing with sound or reporting data. Mercury is linked to the two signs, Virgo, Gemini. So Mercury is the ruler of those two signs. And Gemini is the journalist of the zodiac. It's
Mm,
the one that collects data and knows what to do with that data. And Virgo is body mind. So what connects the body and the head? The voice.
yep.
You see, that just came to me to say. And yet, there's medical astrology, and we can include our body, and the signs correspond to the body, and it is the sign of Taurus that rules the throat.
Oh,
So
okay.
Mercury in particular would be where I would first look for something related to the voice to get
Mm,
some clues on how important that is or what potential. Astrology is a map of our potential, so it is a map of our future. It all
okay.
depends on how we use it. Yeah. But Taurus placements could also correspond to the voice. And that's something I've noticed a lot in any kind of singing circles or singing retreats that I've been on. A lot of people with Taurus signatures, whether they are a Taurus sun sign or moon, they tend to be drawn for the connection to the throat.
Oh, okay.
So there's a quick overview.
And this is
I can
basically
go,
just kind of rewinding for those that are going
yeah,
going, oh, some people may
I'm
think
hoping
astrology is
it's
your,
clear.
your your snippet thing in the magazine. It's like, no, hang on, there's more than that. There's like when we're born, the stars and the planets are in a certain position. So that's kind of like that's the blueprint. When we're
Right.
born, there's those planets have a certain configuration and give us the
Perfect.
uniqueness. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, let me go backwards and speak to that. This is such a big subject. We all know astrology from the horoscopes in the newspapers, or yet that feels so old-fashioned. The online horoscopes, because they're everywhere. And that is true, right? This is true, but it's going to be quite surface level. It's going to be quite general to fit anyone within that sign. And we're all so unique, right? We're as unique as the fingerprints on our hands. And your chart can show how unique you are. And so we work with the natal chart or birth chart, which is the moment you're born, what is the configuration in the sky? And imagine that it's like the energy of the planets and what they stand for at the archetypal level, they impregnate into us,
Mm,
into our soul, as astrology really has to do with the soul. And yet it has to do with the psyche. It has to do with our body. You can read it for anything because it's a map of fractals.
nice. Nice way of putting it.
Okay. And so when we're born, that's why having the precision of the moment we're born, that will give you the most precise data.
Mm,
And, some people don't have that exact time.
mm,
Sometimes we estimate it, and we can still work with that. But of course, the most precise the date, the time, the more clear the information. I've known people who they grew up thinking they were born at this time, so their chart was interpreted a certain way, and then they later learned that it was a different time. And yet, I also look at that as it's not a mistake. That chart was speaking to you for some reason at this early time in life,
hmm
and call it destiny. Call it, yeah, I would call it destiny in that case. You see, fate and destiny is a big subject. You are able to get the clarity.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bigger truth came. So
So when you
hopefully that.
mentioned the Taurus thing that you're looking at their natal charts, and that's just one of many kind of clues, I guess you will, where if we're looking at the voice story.
Yes, and so we always work from the natal chart. That is the blueprint of a person's um, what they inherit, what they bring in, and a blueprint of where they could go, as astrology is a map of potentials.
Map of
But it's
potentials.
very
Like
much
it.
how we're using the chart. I learned once that our chart is our fate. It's what we're given, but how we use the chart How we use the symbolism for higher good, for reaching our higher potential. How we use the chart is our destiny.
Nice. Nice. Thank you. That really helps.
So yeah, forgive me for not laying that foundation as it's important. And so from that natal chart, for looking for the voice, I would look first at Mercury, the planet Mercury,
Mercury, that's it.
because
Yeah.
it's from Mercury. Mercury is also our mind. And all the planets stand for many things, but Mercury would be how we communicate.
Mm,
Therefore, indicators of voice. And because the sign of Taurus has to do with the throat, that's another thing that could relate to the voice. But
hmm.
it's a little more complex than that. That's kind of top level information,
Yeah.
Yile.
We'll stick with the high level. And so you mentioned your own story. Your like, what did you notice, or were you aware of this in your own chart? And you're like, oh, there's some work or opportunity around the voice. Do you mind sharing a bit
Yeah, I'm
about that?
happy to share. Um, since a young age, I just always enjoyed singing. You see, I get emotional now. It's such a personal thing, our voice. I always enjoyed singing, being in choirs, and I didn't know much about astrology then. But I've come to learn that I have a very mercurial chart, meaning Mercury is a very strong element in my chart, a very strong factor. It's Mercury is right on my midheaven, which is your most public self. It's the
Okay.
most public part of the chart. And And so it was some years ago, actually, when I was processing some grief. And I didn't know. I just started looking for singing circles because I needed to find joy. And nothing brings more joy for me and maybe many people than singing, actually.
Mm,
And so it was during that time when I learned I actually was processing grief through the voice.
mm.
So realized was learning how much working with the voice can help us digest emotions. And then I looked at my chart and realized I was going through a transit as well. Transit means it's not your natal chart, it's what is happening in the sky at the moment and how it activates your chart.
Mm-hmm.
Because today is July 10th, 2026, and I was born on June 30th. Is 79. So clearly my chart is different. The sky is
Mm,
different
the
than when I
sky's
was born.
different. Mm.
And that's why your natal chart is the base, but it's going to be activated in your life based on what's really happening in the sky.
And I think we're all
Right? So
feeling very activated at this point in time.
there's so much to say now, and this month in particular. And so it happened to be that I was led to work with the voice, and then I later looked at the astrology and it confirmed something. And that's a lot of why I work with astrology and what I encourage people to do, that we stay connected to our inner self, to our inner knowing, if we have found that, and let astrology confirm what's happening. Because it can go the other way too, where we become dependent on it. And what's happening? Oh, then we let it dictate our
Yeah.
experience.
Don't go out.
Sometimes
Mercury's
that's,
in retrograde. Yeah, yeah. Like,
sometimes that's needed and helpful too. You see, you can work with it in many ways. And so I was led to these singing circles. I started working with a very, very precious teacher, and it just really was opening a world again. And the
mm.
astrology just gave me another detail of what I was actually processing
Oh,
and on
wow.
a higher level, what was happening
Oh,
through that
beautiful.
process. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so through the singing, that helped you through your grief. That helped
It did.
you process grief.
It
Amazing.
did. Yeah.
Was it any particular songs or genre, or it was just the act of that movement and allowing yourself to voice was the healing element?
Yes, it was what I was led to work with. I do the constellation work and ritual, collective rituals, and I was led more to work with this woman to gain some insight about singing improv, more just tones and sounds and not really specific songs, but it ended up being
Mm,
more medicine songs and songs for connecting to the earth and that we would sing in a group setting. So
nice.
that's what I went to her with. I also work with a different teacher right now, and it's very much using my body more to sing,
Mm,
not just the diaphragm,
mm,
but the pelvic floor. And how do I sing from the back of my throat? How do I use the different caves in English I don't even know within the face?
yeah.
So it's like a new level of, oh my gosh, because the sounds that we can reach when we're using the body is incredible. So this is a journey I'm on now.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Is
So
there
you see,
more? Oh, so many. We'll stick with the astrology for, well, is there more to share? Because I'm like, I want to go here.
I know
Um,
it's a big subject. That's why I was excited to talk to you too.
yeah.
Well, but this astrology that I spoke of, it was actually Pluto, okay? So Pluto is not a personal planet. It's one of the gods of change. It's a
Mm,
transpersonal planet. And so in our world today, with the boom of AI, with all that we see happening in the collective, with the systems and the groups, a lot of this is because Pluto has gone to the sign of Aquarius.
mm,
There are many other factors, but that's on a collective level. But it's going to hit our charts personally. It happens to be that Pluto is touching my midheaven. It's
okay.
opposing. It's opposing my Mercury. So it's the evolutionary path is it's empowering me to use my voice more.
Fantastic.
It's an invitation to speak up more, not just in speaking and talking, because that's also Mercury, but it's in all the aspects of Mercury. And for me, it is coming out in learning to use my voice more, finding your true voice within your body. There's
Yeah.
those, well, the different singing voices. Finding our true voice is a big subject. So it's been a very powerful transit. And yeah, so astrology continues to guide there. And and I'm just seeing how this is happening now at the past years of my life. But Mercury is really it's the highest planet in my chart, meaning the most visible.
Mm. So you're finding
And
the way you communicate or what you communicate. It could be all those things, like the way you communicate, what you communicate, and
it's all those
it's just
things.
expanding and growing. Is that what you're noticing?
I'm noticing being more visible publicly, having more opportunities to speak like this, for
Mm,
example, having more opportunities to be at conferences, but also this finding empowerment through connecting with my body
mm,
in a deeper way with
nice.
this new teacher. And so it's very precious. I don't know where I'm going with it, but I just know I'm in the right place.
Fantastic. I love it. Just walking ahead and trusting.
Yeah.
So we can do. What else can you mention about the astrology and the voice? Because I know you said you pulled up a few um, chart examples.
Yes, and so I did some research. Astrology is very analytical. That's also something I like about it. As Mercury, going back to Mercury, it's about data and processing data and details. I used to work in research. That was my work before I became a therapist. And so I did some research of people that I know who really work with the voice, either in professionally or just in their hobbies. And so I found some similarities. And basically, going back to Mercury, we start with Mercury as its symbol of the voice. And so what I noticed is those who really, let's start with some who we know who have the big voices that are famous. You know, I use the dear, someone I just loved and adored, Whitney Houston,
Mm,
and also Celine Dion. Like these two voices for me are just some of the best. And they have Mercury Pluto connections in their chart.
okay. Okay.
Whitney Houston had Mercury in Virgo, which is a very, we call it um, exalted. It's in a sign that suits it very well. Okay,
Okay.
so that's already one thing. Mercury could just be natural in a sign if it's either in Gemini or Virgo. So she has that, and it's conjunct, meaning mixed with, you can't separate. It's mixed with both Pluto and Uranus. So
Okay.
two of the
Two big
gods of
headers.
change, two big headers with a Mercury that's already strong.
Wow.
You see, that shows how powerful her voice was.
Yeah.
And so Pluto, power, power of the voice, but and Uranus being different, being unique,
Mm-hmm.
being incredibly unique. And we saw that to be very true with her.
Yeah.
Celine Dion has Pluto opposing Mercury.
Yeah.
So it's a different setup, but still a connection with Pluto. And we definitely see that with her, the power of her voice.
Yeah.
And then I put Pavarotti, very famous for the
Hey,
power of his
Paparazzi.
voice.
Yes.
And he had Mercury opposing Uranus. So this very unique, different voice. Uranus is the awakener, and
The
it has a lot to do
Awakener.
with grief.
Okay. So using his voice to awaken
Perhaps
humanity. I don't know. Yeah.
that
Invoke
could be
something.
some of the symbolism, to
Mm.
awaken emotion in people, to awaken something. I think that's absolutely true for him. And also with Whitney Houston. Those voices keep going on, even though they're not
Yes,
with us.
true. They
They
live
live on.
beyond, yeah, themselves. Oh, wow.
Okay, so those are some of the big voices that I looked at. But for some, people that I know, the clients I've worked with, or friends, or some of these voice teachers that I had their data, there were there were Mercury Pluto connections, being empowered through our voice, empowering others, having a powerful voice, being able to fill a room, all those
Mm,
things. Mercury, Pluto. There also, some of them had the Mercury Uranus connections. Another common combination I saw was Mercury and Jupiter. So Jupiter is going to expand whatever it touches.
okay.
So if Mercury is in aspect to Jupiter, in many of the cases was Mercury conjunct Jupiter, meaning coffee milk, you can't separate them. They go together. Voice with expansion, an
Mm,
expansive voice. When I
that's
speak up,
interesting.
it spreads.
So
You
expansive
see,
voice, but sometimes is that misuse? So it doesn't matter regardless of the messaging.
absolutely. It can
Mm,
be absolutely, right? Good point. It's all how do I use it?
how do I? Yes. Okay.
So we can't, that's part of the nuance because Mercury is the voice, right? But how do we use it? Um, just because you have an aspect or you're with Jupiter doesn't guarantee it's all positive.
And would, I guess some people may, because maybe people have a point of view of like people being outspoken. Would that be
Or be
an
too
expression
loud,
or too loud, too much? Okay. Yeah. Right.
much, or maybe speaking a lot about themselves, being kind of I focused.
Mm,
That can be a Mercury, Jupiter. It can, and also the sign that it's in would depend, right? Because the planet is the actor.
okay.
The sign that it's in is the costume the actor is wearing,
Oh, nice way of putting it. Yeah. Okay.
how the actor expresses itself.
Ah,
And the place in the chart is the scene of life where that actor will express itself and where that actor will have experiences.
mm. Hence,
Okay?
it's like
And
an
so
ongoing, this evolving map of ours. It's like how we learn, grow. I still have this aspect, but it's like, how am I going to use it this time and or this year?
exactly, that's it. How am I going to use it this time? What did I learn last time? How can I use that experience to create a different outcome?
Mm.
You
Mm.
see, that's when we get into the subject of fate and destiny. If we're just blindly using it without learning from our past, we're living from fate. We're
Mm.
not really being conscious.
Yeah.
But if we take our previous experiences, if we see the symbolism and the potential of what we can get from that, it can direct us to a different outcome,
Yeah.
an outcome of choice, an outcome of creating something new,
Yeah.
moving beyond fate to our destiny. So, good point. It's all about how we use it.
Mm.
And Jupiter will expand what it touches. And something that I just thought about as we talked is, when there's like with a lot of celebrities, when something happens and it just spreads everywhere.
Yeah.
That's an example of Jupiter. When
Okay.
COVID spread, it was a Jupiter aspect that
Ah,
spread COVID.
okay. Okay.
That's a good example that it's not always positive.
Mm. Wow.
See, it's full
Yeah.
of nuance, full
Yeah.
of nuance. All right, but I saw that as a common aspect with people, Mercury, Jupiter, and then also Mercury with the sun, as the sun is our identity. The sun is our sense of self. The sun is our active self in the world. It's our conscious self, but it's developmental. We continue to develop who we are. But if your Mercury and your sun are together, your voice is you, which is true for anyone, but it's amplified with this kind of signature. And
Mm.
it was common with the people on my list here that worked with the voice. Several people, including you, they had Mercury with aspects to Chiron, Chiron, the wounded healer. And
Story of my life. Yes.
I'm sure you have a lot to say about that, right? And so perhaps in the younger, before we become more conscious and heal, our younger experiences could be, wounding in our voice. Being told we couldn't sing, being told we didn't have a right to speak, or just never having the space, or it can come in so many ways, right? And yet, and I see that a lot in therapy, which I won't go there now, but
Mm.
body work, the voice is part of the body.
Mm.
So expressing it, it's a big journey,
For
especially
sure.
if you've been silenced and told not to speak. So
Mm.
recovering that is a big healing journey. And so when enough of that healing has happened, then the voice can be used for healing others. And that's
Mm.
what I see in what you do.
Oh my
And this,
goodness.
you
And that's
see?
why we're doing this call because I only recently realized what the Chiron wound, because I just had to come out of the return, was about. And I was like, that's too spooky. That was probably
Yes.
my life journey, being
Yeah.
the quiet, shy, obedient child, not being able to string a sentence together and want the floor to open up when someone used to speak to me, to now using my
Wow.
voice for healing. Um, and I didn't know. I didn't know. I guess it was probably better you don't know sometimes your chart and you just plow through it. Part of me, I guess another part of my chart was wanting me to transcend those wounds, or yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you have Mercury, Chiron, Pluto in aspect. I see an incredibly powerful voice or the potential of power, you see? But the journey with Pluto, we go from disempowerment to empowerment, the
Mm,
full range of, and so the potential of what I see here is incredibly powerful for the collective, Ile. You see, it's very fitting what you're doing for the collective because your Mercury is in house 12, the house of the collective. But planets in house 12 are hidden. They take a lot of work to bring up to our consciousness.
okay.
Okay, your Mercury in house 12 in square to Pluto in house 9, which is the foreign land, international, and squaring Chiron in house 3, your local community. It's really perfect for what you're doing with this podcast. Speaking to
Fantastic.
the collective for your local community as well as the international community. Empowering people to find their voice in all the different aspects that could be.
Yay.
Yes, well done. And I don't know when this was birthed, but you speak of your Chiron return. And every planet has a return. You know, our
Mm,
sun sign is the birthday that's in the horoscopes that everyone knows. And 365 days later, the sun comes back to the same time, which was your birthday. It's
hmm
a solar return. Well, every planet has a return. Chiron return at our midlife. And it seems to me like you're taking forward all the healing you've gained to work more in the healer aspect now.
mm. When would you say, because is the birth date when I conceived the idea or when I launched it and made it live?
Oh, good question.
Because I think made it live in May. Is it right? May, June, July. Actually, no, I can't remember. I'd have to double check, but I'd be curious. We can back.
I would look at the chart for both of those. If you have the date of when you conceived the idea, to
Yeah.
look at the chart as well as the day you launched it. Um, Constellations, we talk about the idea. Who had the idea? Not just when it was launched,
Mm.
but not everyone has the date of when they have the idea. We
Interesting, because
usually have the
I've been
date.
sitting with the idea for quite some time, and I didn't feel the impulse to move until quite a few months later, and then to actually record a few before
Okay.
going live. So yeah, I'll just double check my notes. But I mean, I'm always curious because it's like, oh, I like not knowing and then checking it out later. It's like
That's
trying
what I
not to
like
read about stuff and then like if I know about it or comes up in the field in some way, it's like, oh wow,
exactly to
it comes
confirm
up.
your experience, to empower you that your inner knowing. And I
Mm,
think that's really a healthy way to use astrology because we people can get addicted to using it or dependent. That's a better
yes.
word. And let it direct their path. And not that it shouldn't, but we can give our power away as well. And
Mm,
that's, in my opinion, a misuse. It's about empowering us. It's about us becoming conscious and using what we have to create a future and to use our experience in the symbols um, to direct the path forward. Instead of
yeah.
blindly, I don't know where I'm going, but the chart says, the astrology says this.
Yeah.
It, that's a big, that's a big podcast in itself.
I know, yeah, exactly. The strategy says panic, so I'm gonna panic. No. Not at all.
Like anything, when
Yeah,
we're looking for our empowerment, we may find it in certain ways. So everyone's on their
absolutely.
own journey as well.
So which came first? Like how long have you been working with astrology? Because you also have, um, I'm just mentioning those two topics at the moment, constellations and somatic psychotherapy. Um, but it always sounds like helping and healing the self and self-development. Um, how did it all start for you? Where did it start?
Hmm. Well, astrology, I would say it came into my life young because my mom liked it. And she's a woman with a photographic memory of dates. And so she would often ask our friends when we were kids about when is their birthday to know what their sign was. And so I had this influence of looking for patterns young
Mm,
and finding the patterns and what a sign stood for in the character of people. But then it was years later when I lived in Argentina, actually, that my therapist at the time was an astrologer, and she woke me up to the other planets of the chart. And it was my moon sign that just it spoke language that nothing else did.
that's right. I think we have the same moon sign.
I am a Virgo moon.
Okay, maybe not then. I thought we
You're
had
a
this
Leo moon. You're a Leo
Leo
moon. I'm a
moon.
Virgo moon, you see, ruled by Mercury.
Okay.
So that's another reason why
Ah,
Mercury is strong in my chart. And my best friends were Virgos, and several partners I had had were Virgos, and it just helped me understand what I was looking for and what I felt with them.
Okay.
because it gave a sense of safety and it gave a sense of understanding. So it was like, click, I now understand something about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing your moon sign and all that that means helps explain yourself so much. You see, you're a Leo moon, which is a performer, which is someone who would work from the heart and want to encourage people to work from the heart. And they often work with music and performing of all kinds. So not it could be theater as well, but someone who um, might not shy away from being behind the microphone.
It's taken a while.
I,
I'm not
I
yet
mean,
of
that's a
the.
little generic as well, but a lot of musicians have Leo moon.
Okay. Interesting.
So anyway, and so that's when astrology came in, and I started studying it in depth when I lived in Argentina. And this was 16 years ago when I started doing that in more depth because in Argentina there's a lot of astrology schools. They're very good with all that. And it was at the same time in my life when I found, or I should say, when constellations found me. I
Mm,
like to say it that way. It was at that time in my life when it came into my life, and then I also discovered the somatic psychotherapy from constellations
okay.
as I saw that I didn't respond in my body as much as
Mm.
I could have. So I don't know if that answers your question. That's
Yeah,
kind of when it.
absolutely. Because I guess where I'm going with you working with clients and voice, what you notice, but also it's that backtracking to the podcast about what shapes our voice. Not only do we have these planets that can influence us, but where we've come from. Um,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
could you speak to that and what you've seen or noticed in your sessions with people in their voice, like from not speaking to like we said, like speaking too much or keeping secrets, all these different stories that may be threading through as well.
Well, I'm sure if I were to think back to therapy clients that because I use the astrology chart with therapy. Most
Mm,
people are okay with that. I would say 9 out of 10 people are okay with that, and it becomes an element of the therapeutic process.
fantastic.
What's what about the chart, what's happening to you now? It can give a real understanding of, oh, no wonder I'm feeling what I'm feeling, you
Mm,
know? And so if I were to do some analysis, I'm sure, of those who really have a hard time speaking up, I'm sure the chart would show some hard aspect, meaning challenging, of Mercury. Or maybe Mercury is not in a sign where it thrives and it's harder to speak up.
mm,
That can guide of what's the journey of voice, for one, right? But something I've noticed is, as in the somatic psychotherapy, the voice is part of the body. And working with the voice is one of the key ways that we calm ourselves because it stimulates the vagus nerve.
mm,
The
mm,
vagus nerve is the one that brings calmness in our nervous system.
yeah.
So that's why singing brings joy, actually.
Mm,
In science, we're stimulating the vagus nerve and calming our system.
mm,
This is why sound healing is part of our present and future, because it's the actual sound, the vibration that can break up density. Sure, you
mm.
know this with what you do, and I don't even
Yeah.
know the
I mean, it would be
depth of.
biased. So yeah, it's like, well, yeah, I'm curious, like what you've experienced, and it's interesting you say that because when you mentioned it, I thought, oh, I go back to like the mother's voice when if she's singing and soothing a
Oh,
child,
right.
and it's like
Uh-huh.
if a lot of us haven't had that or had that disconnect, um,
Yeah.
just I guess introducing that back in the field or in the body in the it's like kind of like almost like do you feel that's like kind of co-regulating and helping the person to
Oh, yes. Absolutely,
to
it's
calm down.
co-regulating.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we can use our voice to calm ourselves in our nervous system by singing, by chanting, by humming, by gargling, anything with the voice. It's one of the key ways to find a place, a baseline of grounded regulation.
Mm.
Yet, we're not always in a place to use our voice, you know, if we're in a meeting or we're on public transport. And so there's other ways to calm ourselves that don't require a voice. But I always encourage people, let's find something that could be practical for you.
Mm.
Right? But what I've noticed with clients is a hesitation to, you know, I do a lot of body work exercises with incorporating breath and voice, and it can be quite vulnerable, you
Yeah.
know? It is vulnerable using your voice, especially if you haven't had a place to do it.
Mm.
Especially if you had the experience of your opinion doesn't matter. No, we don't want to hear what you have to say. You know, if you've been silenced in your life, then recovering the voice is critical in the healing, but it's going to be a journey. So I
Mm.
see people doing the exercises and they hesitate to use the voice for all the reasons behind that,
Mm. And do
right?
you,
And then
does the
little
chart,
by little, I see them recovering it. So anyway,
yeah,
please.
nice. I was gonna say with the chart, because there's one thing the astrology with the self, with the individual, and I know with constellations, we can be entangled with our ancestral story. Like, do those two complement each other in terms of the information? So does the chart also highlight, oh, this is an ancestral
Oh
story?
yeah.
Oh,
Yes, the chart can indicate ancestral inheritance. Uh-huh.
oh,
And what we could reclaim from that the ancestors lost.
wow.
Absolutely. It's within certain houses and certain signatures in the chart that lead to the ancestral inheritance. Mhm.
Mm,
You can read your chart for yourself, for your family system, for your body, for your medical side, for finances, for the world. See, it's all you can read it for all those things. Of course, the symbols, the planets carry different meaning depending on what you're reading it for.
mm,
But yes, and that's really how astrology started coming to me with clients. It was first with the constellation work. Um, what is their moon sign? What could that tell about their experience with their mom?
mm,
As that's such a big thing we work with in constellations, as well as what about the ancestral field? What are they carrying from ancestors? Or what is the likelihood? You see, because the symbols could mean many things. And little by little, I just started seeing all the resonance with what would show up in the constellation, and then started incorporating the moon sign in therapy because that's our emotional self.
emotional self. Okay.
And so, yes, I refer to this now as often as I can in getting more information to inform a client's process.
It almost gives you a bit of a heads up, really, like
Yes.
well, like I've got your vitals, your information, and then like
Yeah.
everything else is additional. It sounds like that can come from the field and their story they bring and where they're
ab-
at. I guess, like you said, the fate versus destiny. Like, okay, how they doing? Like,
Yeah. And being open to um, maybe they're using the symbol. Maybe it shows their development of the symbolism, or
mm,
maybe it's been hindered. Okay, what can we do to enliven it and to go toward um, living the symbolism more? I mean, it's truly what we do in any constellation anyway.
true. Yes, because it's like if this is the story that's playing out, and then it's like finding those appropriate resources to empower us to move with whatever's showing up. Can you give
Yes.
any more specific examples? Like I know for me, I notice, especially when I'm doing recordings like this, and I watch a video back in the early days when video and online stuff was coming about, I would just cringe at the way I was talking, and that I was really fragmented and stuttery and like this. And I still do it every so often, but I'm less judgmental about it. I just can allow myself to just be in the moment. Um, have you noticed that in clients, like what sort of improvements have you seen? Improvements, that's the word. Enhancements or growth moments that you've.
Yeah, growth, development. I mean, I'm thinking of myself already because I already think "Ugh, I should have started with the birth chart and laid a foundation of astrology instead of just jumping in. You
Oh,
see?
that was fine. I was
I
like,
think about that for myself right now. Um, well, for example, I see, Gemini. A lot is happening for Gemini people right now, whether you're a Gemini sun or you have Gemini planets, because the planet Uranus moved to Gemini in April. And Uranus is one of these gods of change. So it's going to, the invitation, you see, it's
yeah.
always how we take the transit. The invitation is to step towards something better for ourselves, to
Mm,
upgrade, innovate, to step toward a freedom they may not have had. But change is scary, right?
mm,
So I'm
mm.
noticing this with Gemini clients.
Okay,
And
interesting.
also, as I'm quite mercurial, it's curious who you are, who clients are, which clients are attracted to you. I do tend to get uh, Gemini clients, as I do have planets in Gemini. And so, what I notice in terms of their voice, I notice one woman comes to mind. She really hesitates using the voice, right? It's very, because she has been silenced in her life. And so what happens as a result? It goes to the mind, and the mind is very overactive. That's also
Mm,
Mercury.
mm,
So how can we use some of that stimulation in the mind to actually go into the body, including the voice, and balance it out? You see,
mm.
balance out all this stimulation. And that's an example. I hope I'm answering your question.
Yeah, yeah.
Another woman comes to mind too, who, a lot of people come to somatic therapy and they have trouble breathing. Breath
Right.
is part of the body, and it's one of the key ways the body speaks. So truly, by using the voice, we can open our body and gain some somatic capacity, gain space, much more than just breath alone. The voice
Interesting.
actually opens the body more.
Yeah.
So when I told her that, she was more willing to use her voice.
Okay. So whether that's speaking, humming, or just making any
No, I
sounds
mean, it's in exercises.
and
Uh,
exercises. Okay.
it's using the voice through breath in the somatic therapy. And so I see that she's crossed the threshold, being able to use her voice now. And now we're looking for a deeper voice, a more true
Mm.
voice.
And that's true. I mean, it's been a real healer for me because I struggled to put words to my thoughts. I didn't know what I was
Yeah.
thinking or how I was thinking. So for me, just making the ums, ahs, and the squeaks and being allowed to do that or given permission to do that was like, what? It's like the words will come later. And it's like, we don't need to worry about, don't tell me how you're feeling. Because when someone asks me, how are you feeling? I'm like, I just want to disappear right now. I want to check, I'm checking out. I'm like, and so
Yeah.
sounding was a real gateway for me to bridge that gap between nothing, no sound to from
Perfectly
to the
said.
words. And the words came later. And things
And
like
then the words
constellation
came.
really helped because it was then feeling like feeling the going back to the somatic, it's like, oh, when you say like, the voice is part of the somatic part is it's
Yes, it's a crucial part of our body.
yeah. Can you talk
Yes,
more
it's
about the
part of the
somatic
body work.
therapy you do and how that kind of movement, if there is one, like from checking out to having a conversation?
Well, I often tell clients, when we can start to notice that we dissociate, for example,
Hmm.
where our mind checks out, or we're talking about something and then another thought comes, or we're trying to break a pattern of thinking, right? Like I make a decision, period, and then all the self-doubt thoughts come. When those self-doubt comes, just interrupt it with sound. I make a decision, they start coming. So I bring myself back to center. Do you
Mm.
follow me?
Yep.
So I interrupt the loop that is repetitive in my system
Nice.
and letting sound, letting simplicity of it. Hmm, that's an example that comes to mind. Um, Something I learned from a teacher is when when a siren passes or a loud train, it can be noise is very dysregulating for the system, especially if we're already dysregulated. If we're which means we're off the ground. We're not grounded, right?
Mm.
And then something loud happens and it can be very disturbing. And so when a siren passes or a train, use your voice to go over the sound. Be louder than the train. No one will hear you because the train is so loud. What
Mm.
that can do is help the sound go through you instead of
Trying to,
dysregulate you.
yeah, trying to push it away. Yeah.
Yeah, so I always do that now. A
Oh,
siren passes,
wow.
mm, to find to go through the sound
Yeah.
and let it dysregulate more. That's what a siren
Interesting.
is meant to do, actually. It's meant to shock you so you get out of
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Still
in those
does.
subtle things that it can stay in the body and keep you in a shock state, depending on the person.
Yes.
Do you see what I
Yeah.
mean? So, um, finding the freedom in our voice is also to know that we have what we need in our body. We have
Yeah.
what we need in so many ways. So, finding ways to use that. So, yeah, the voice is just so incredible. So incredible. Something I didn't finish saying, I'll just say this real quickly. Another aspect I noticed with people in their charts is when Mercury is connected to the nodes, the North Node or
And the
South
South
Node.
Node.
That was
Oh.
also quite prevalent with a lot of people that work with the voice. And so, what is that about? It's about our fate and our destiny. It's
Mm.
the past, what we inherit, and how do I use that going forward? And that's really true for anyone. What happened in my family life? What happened in the ancestral field? Were we allowed to speak up? Uh,
Mm.
were we
And that's
using
the
our
South
voice in
Node. So that's the South Node, like what we've
what we've been
come
given,
from. Yeah.
where we've come from, what's natural? It's our comfort zone. And yet, growth comes by going the stony way. What is the new way? I could stay in my comfort zone forever, yet it's not very fulfilling.
Mm.
How can I go forward? So, yeah, I feel like
Wow.
I'm
No,
jumping
this
all
is
over.
great. No, 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 not at all. It's me as well. I'm kind of excited. It's like, let's go here. Like, um, so
Love the
with that,
subject, don't we?
I love it. Do you see any collective themes, with voice? I can't remember where I heard it from because some people say, oh, it's the era of the heart or the era of the this, and then I'm like, oh, do you notice a collective movement towards being able to speak our truth more? Or it's always been there in humanity and it's always a thing that we're working through.
Well, very good question. You know, so Mercury is the voice, Mercury is the mind, but the planet Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury.
Oh, okay.
So it's Mercury multiplied. It is the divine mind.
Mm,
It would be using our voice for a higher purpose. And that's Uranus rules the sign of Aquarius, for one. And we are entering this new age of Aquarius. So not only is Pluto a big player, Uranus is a guiding planet through this. So inviting us to speak up for our individual truths. The sign of Aquarius stands for humanity.
Yeah.
All the signs have the light and shadow. In the light aspects, the higher expression, the higher consciousness, Aquarius is the sign of humanitarianism. It's the sign of um, my individual uniqueness that I show that.
Mm.
It has to do with rebellion and revolution. Why? For the greater good for the collective, for the greater good for humanity. The shadow side of Aquarius
Yeah.
can be authoritarianism.
Mm.
And it can be it's about technology and advancement and progress, progressivism, yet we see a lot of the shadow of that right now in the world,
Mm. Yeah.
right? So it's all of that. But Uranus, this planet, if we're using it, if we're on a path of consciousness, it just went to the sign of Gemini. This is going to be expanding our divine mind,
Divine
giving
mind.
giving the opportunity to speak up. So
And
yes,
I like that you said it was individual truth as well. It's not like this collective, homogenized, I'll go with this crowd. It's like learning to find, is it about learning to find and be okay with our individual self, but also we're part of the humanity. Like together as individuals, we can be a
I
collective.
heard someone the other day, it's about learning to be an individual in society,
Yeah.
not just I follow the crowd.
Mm,
That's going to be what the majority do. Yet this invitation is, what is my choice really? What do I really think? And having the courage to speak out because it's a paradox, Aquarius.
mm.
Collective, individual. It includes both.
Yeah. And also
Yet,
is the shadow side of
really,
that to because the other thing I think is the shadow side is to the cancel culture. So how can I be an individual? I know, they, them,
or
I'm me.
in it,
What's
you
that?
see? That's that authority, that
Authority.
authoritarianism. No, I
Ah,
don't allow the voices of the individual.
mm,
You see, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the French Revolution. It was the American Revolution.
mm.
These were collective speaking up against the authorities.
Oh, okay.
So that's part of the promise history would show us. Yet we're confronted on a different yet similar level right now at this stage of humanity. And but what is it's early on, right? This is an ongoing. It's where we are collectively. Yet and people are speaking up. There are protests all the time. We don't see it on the news because of who's controlling the news.
Mm,
Yet, what is hindering our voice? In my opinion, it's this collective dissonance with being dissociated by technology and
mm.
not even knowing what is truth anymore. Not
Yes.
even, um, not even giving, oh, I heard that's true. Who can trust that anymore? And yet it's something that could actually be like the truth of some of our leaders coming out, like the truth behind agendas. People dismiss it now because there's been so much dissonance. And I hope I'm explaining
Yeah,
myself.
no, absolutely. I was going to get you to repeat that. You said it already. So it's the collective dissonance. Is that where, because you're saying, what I'm hearing you're saying is that because there's so much information being bombarded, and then it's got to the point of, well,
Right.
that wasn't true, and there's so many untruths or lies that it becomes, oh, what's the point? So that kind of
What's the
we're
point?
just dismissing a lot and throwing the baby out with the bathwater and go, hang on, rather than actually knowing what our truth is and discerning what is
Mhm.
true for us and what's not.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And then also, these authorities, it feels so big against us, just the little ones. So how can we feel disempowered facing
Yeah.
this? Yet I believe in the power of humanity. I may
We
we
have
awake.
to.
We have to. May we awaken and see what's behind this. I read this book recently, Stolen Focus.
Stolen
Our
focus. Oh my
focus
gosh.
has been taken from us on purpose so we don't react.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, it's a sad state we're in,
So,
but yes. So, what message do you have for those that are not dissociating, for those that are listening, about themselves and their voice?
such a big part of a collective shift. You said this is the era of the heart. Um, the opposite of Aquarius is Leo. So they work together, the
Mm,
Aquarius Leo axis. And Leo has to do with the heart. Leo is living from the heart. So they work together. It is a time of listening. What does my heart say?
mm,
But it's been in the last 2 weeks actually with clients. I've noticed a theme. The heart without the mind, it can also lead us astray. We do need the mind to guide us as well. We do need to think, okay, this is what my heart's saying. How can I rationally put in place what my heart is saying?
mm.
They
Nicely
go
put.
together.
Yeah.
And on another level, we are, with systems breaking down, with AI replacing a lot of jobs, with so much uncertainty before us. It was some years ago, an astrologer told me we're really moving into the time of depending on the self leadership. So, what do I really want to do? How can I be empowered to start putting that in place and depend on myself? Because dependence on the outside, dependence on our systems, dependence on, not that we can't depend on things, right? But a lot of what we depend on is crumbling.
Mm.
And it all comes from, what do I really think? So I would encourage people in the minefield of data out there, in the flooding of information, to be able to get some moment of silence to actually hear that inner voice and that higher
Mm.
mind. What is it that matters to me?
Inner voice and higher mind.
Yeah,
That's
inner voice and higher mind.
I was gonna say because my next question is how do people come back to self-agency or have
Yeah,
self-agency? Because some people alarmingly seem to have either never had that or lost it. Um,
yeah,
and
that's
we are
right.
really living in interesting times. And some days I'm like, oh my goodness, where are we heading as a humanity? And so conversations like this really help give me a booster of keep going and keep doing what I'm doing. Because some days I'm like, wow, seeing how other people feel a bit lost, so lost. So,
Yeah,
um,
and that's real. That's
yeah,
real. And so, um, those of us who see what's happening, it takes courage to speak up about it
yeah,
because some won't agree with you.
yeah,
Some won't agree with you. Some will call you a conspiracy theorist. Somebody will call you crazy. Um, Having the courage to speak up anyway.
yes. The other thing I want to ask you, um, I'm not sure if there is an answer or a response, but I've noticed, and maybe that's my field at the moment, that a lot of people, um, more people I've noticed, I guess, are disassociated. And when it comes to feeling the feelings, the body sensations, it's quite overwhelming for them. Is that what you've noticed change over the years?
Dissociation is a reaction to overwhelm. Dissociation has been with us maybe always as humans.
Yeah.
But what's happened with technology is that it's become normalized.
Mm,
And there's a collective, scrolling on the phone. When you're scrolling without presence, you are dissociated.
mm,
And yet it's become normalized, it's become accepted. Do you know how much money those guys are making, by the way, when we're just scrolling?
Yeah.
You
I
see,
can't
that book,
imagine.
Stolen
Yeah.
Focus, really woke me up to
Stolen
behind.
focus. I love this term
Mhm.
thing. I love it and I don't
Now,
love it for obviously. um,
no, it's really informative.
yes.
And and so that's one thing. And that might be an entry point for a lot of the people who hate what's happening. If they realize, actually, when you're scrolling like that without focus, you're putting money in their bank.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Okay, but that's part of the challenge we're in as humanity. It's hard to, it takes a lot of energy when you're working and you lose your focus, it takes a lot of energy to come back to focus actually.
Mm. It's
So really learning about this stuff, finding ways to come back to the body because the body is our anchor. The body's always in the present.
mm,
The body is always in the present. That's why it's learning to connect with it. It can anchor an active mind. I
I'm
don't know if
wondering, and I guess this is a little bit of my projection or things I've noticed over the years is that we have those strategies or those distractive strategies sometimes in place to avoid those core feelings, those core wounds, because it's over, like you said, overwhelming. Um,
absolutely.
and
And
it's
that
almost
and that
then this kind of, dare I say, this culture of very delicate, sensitive beings. It's like you can't almost like that's what we're creating and being okay with it and locking them in that position rather than okay, the next stage is then to feel your body, move through it. But now even
Mhm.
more cotton wool padding and more delicacy and more let's just be very careful and quiet around these
Yeah.
people. And it's like, wow, how have we got to here? Um,
Well, your question of emotions is where are emotions? They're in the body.
mm,
Emotions are energy in motion and they stay inside of us. So if we can learn to come back to the body, if we can learn to understand its language a little bit, if we can find those body sensations again, that is that's a we have dismissed this as helpful. We have dismissed body sensations as something valuable at the sake of progress. No, no, it's more valuable what's on my Instagram. It's taking us outside of our humanity.
yeah, yeah.
So, so anyway,
No, I feel you. And it, like you said, it has to be someone has to say it. Someone we have to give voice to this, hence this podcast. It's not about just like how to have a pretty voice. It's like, hang on, we need to talk about what's not being said.
that's right. You see, the voice is for speaking. It's what we're doing now. It's for sharing information. It's about meeting your friends and enjoying yourself. It can be about performing and singing, yet so much of my voice learning is that it's not singing at all. It's actually learning not to sing, just express.
Expressing,
And
yeah.
that is such a conditioning we have. No, I've got to sing, I've got to sound good. And many people don't think they can sing, so they don't bear to use their voice when
Mm,
anyone can make sound.
mm,
So that's a part of that we've been so conditioned in so many ways. And yet your voice is at the essence, it stimulates the vagus nerve to help you find calmness.
exactly. It's like a
See?
conundrum. It's like once you break that cycle, it's like, wow, I feel
Exactly.
great.
And so I see that freedom in people when they start to notice, they make their sounds much louder. Ah, they make their sighs very loud with freedom. Great. You see what I mean? So if
Exactly.
we can look at it for that, find and that's a power source of us. It's our power source. It's also a way of connecting the body
Mm,
and the mind.
absolutely.
So and I do believe that as we awaken, a lot of troubled things are happening in the world. But on another level, a lot of wonderful, beautiful things are happening. People are
Mm,
aware.
yeah. We're gonna be there to hold their hand.
Yes, yes, that's right. And to know actually, yes, there is another perspective out there. There
Yeah.
is another way. Your voice matters. Your
Your
voice
voice
matters. For all
matters.
of us to know our voice.
Thank you so much. Are there, do you have any final thoughts on voice and all things that you're doing?
I just hope that this is understandable for people because I feel myself a little, I went here and there and here and there. Um, I feel very passionate about this subject, the voice,
Mm,
because it's our personal power at the end of the day.
yeah, absolutely.
Whether you use it for communicating with your network and within your local community, or whether you speak to a bigger audience. Either way, there's no comparison. It's about you using it for you.
Yeah,
And so may we find the courage to look there and to make a little more sound, to calm ourselves and to find the peace and grounding. Because then from there, we can start to use it in other ways that maybe we never have.
yeah.
Like sharing the voice that we have, daring to sing, daring to challenge those thoughts of I can't sing.
Mm,
Um, Looking for chanting circles, looking for what does it do? It brings joy.
yeah,
That's what we need more of.
indeed. Oh, thank you so much for a very rich conversation. I could talk more. I'll have to bring you back on again. Um, because I was like thinking about like all the other examples of, you know, politicians, confidence, speaking, all those types of people. Um,
A
where
big
can people
subject.
find you? Where's the best place if people want to connect with you? Where's the best place they can do that?
Yes, my website is gettotheorigin.com, and that's also my the name on Instagram. And I'm here in Brussels, but I work online a lot to reach the international community. So I do the online constellations every month, and then I do the astro constellation circles around the new moon of every month.
Perfect.
So look me up, everybody, at Get to the Origin or astro.constellations on Instagram as well.
I highly recommend it. Thank you again so much. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us and your insights. It was beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for this invitation.
Oh, you're welcome.